This is your First Alert Weather Breakdown, a deep dive into how weather works with meteorologist CJ Cartledge.
Good morning, everyone. I'm First Alert Meteorologist CJ Cartledge here. Welcome to a new work week here in the Arklatex. Now, for today, we are going to be talking about a couple of different topics here on the KSLA First Alert Weather Breakdown. One of them being tonight's full moon, which is actually called the harvest moon. It will be the 10th full moon that we will see for this year. We have two more left, and this will actually be, just to give you a sneak peek of it, it will actually be a super moon out there. So we're going to be diving into more details on what that means and when you could see it around the Arklatex, or if you will be able to see it through tonight. And it'll also be appearing full in the sky through tomorrow night as well here. And it was also appearing full last night here in the Arklatex. But we're going to be diving into more details on that here on through the episode, at least after we talk about the local forecast here, which we will dive into right about now. Here's a look outside through our KSLA tower camera, sponsored by Mattress Plus, and we are looking at mostly cloudy conditions across the Arklatex right now. We did see a few breaks in the clouds for some sunshine here. A little bit of sunshine was led through those clouds now just a few moments ago, but not too far away from where we are right now. As you can see, just a dreary look as we start off the new work week. This is clouds associated with a low pressure system that was moved in from the Gulf not too long ago, actually through yesterday. It actually made its way onto land, and it's making its way just past the Arklatex, bringing us cloud cover for most of the Arklatex, but also an isolated rain shower or two as we move towards the afternoon hours on our Monday. Here's a look outside across the Arklatex right now. And there's that upper level low just to the east of us, as you can see, bringing some moderate to heavy rainfall to those in the southern portions of the boot of Louisiana, as well as in the southern half of Mississippi. As you can see, there's also a couple of flash flood warnings. I think one flash flood warning in effect there just by Kentwood. And zooming into it here just a little bit, just to show you guys which areas are in there. Just to the west of Franklinton and to the east of Amite City. Excuse me if I'm pronouncing those areas wrong. I am not from here, but yes, close to those cities over there. What we are expecting maybe an isolated shower or two to appear in areas to the far north and eastern portions of the Arklatex, mainly in our southwestern Arkansas zones up there by El Dorado and within the Arklatex east of Texarkana there. But looking at temperatures right now, we are currently sitting in the 70s for the most part across the area here. 79 by Shreveport and Bossier, 78 for Mansfield, and around 78 also for Natchitoches here, 77 for Florine, 80 already by Texarkana. A bit toasty over there just south of Longview near Henderson, Texas, because they're normally one of the warmer portions around the Arklatex on a day-to-day basis. But we're also seeing some higher humidity compared to what we have been seeing for the past couple of days here. We already seeing the humidity out there with feels like temperatures just a couple degrees higher than actual temperatures there near Shreveport, Carthage, Mansfield, as well as Texarkana. They're seeing feels like temperatures around 4 degrees higher than actual temperatures right now, denoting that humidity factor. But moving on to what we can expect through the next 5 hours ahead, as you can see here, 20% rain chances through the midday and into the afternoon hours, mainly because of this upper level low that will be moving just to the east of the Arklatex, but we could still see an isolated shower or two from it. We'll be seeing northerly winds because we're mainly on the western half of this low, and due to its counterclockwise motion, that brings in northerly winds for us, which will keep us cool through the daytime hours today. We will not see the 90s across anywhere around the Arklatex, more than likely here. 89 by Nacogdoches. The highest, or the areas with the highest chance of seeing potentially the 90s there are our East Texas zones, but the eastern half of the Arklatex, nowhere near the 90s for today. 82 for Minden, same for Ruston. 81 by Homer. 85 by Shreveport and Bossier. 87 for Texarkana, as well as Idabel. Looks to be having a high near 85 for DeQueen, around 88 for areas like Center, Manny, Natchitoches, as well as St. Augustine. And as mentioned before, 89 by Nacogdoches over in East Texas. But feels like temperatures will reach well into the lower 90s for most of the Arklatex, especially over in East Texas there, which is expected to remain dry as compared to most areas around the region for today. 88 by Idabel. Looks to be having a feels like temperature or feels like high of 89 for DeQueen, 90 by Texarkana, 93 over in Shreveport and Bossier here. So we are expecting a little bit of humidity as we move through the daytime hours for today, especially by the afternoon. Here's a look at future track. And we are expecting this cloud cover to continue to push through the Arklatex through the remainder of today. And as you can see, due to that counterclockwise motion that it has, this will reinforce northerly winds for most, if not all, of the Arklatex region, which will keep us cooler than 90 degrees for most of the Arklatex, if not all of us here. Isolated shower, too, is expected on our far north and eastern portions of the region as we move towards this afternoon, mainly in this area over here that I just circled. We'll have the higher rain chances for today, but as we move through the afternoon hours or the rest of the afternoon and into the evening, we should see this upper level low finally move out of the region and still lingering behind a couple of isolated showers there as we move into the later evening and through the overnight hours here. Heading into our early morning on Tuesday, a cold front will start to push in from the north and west, and this will pause a little bit as we move through the daytime hours and finish moving through the Arklatex as we move through the day or as we move through the night into our Wednesday. As you can see, a bit of some cloud cover could bring about an isolated shower or two for most areas around and south of I-20. But heading towards the evening, that's when that cold front will finally finish moving through the Arklatex. And we won't see the effects of this cold front until we hit the later part of our work week. Heading throughout our Wednesday, we are expecting rain chances to rise once again due to isolated showers and storms. But we're not expecting much rain over the next 7 days overall. Here's a look at our forecast highs. We'll get into rainfall totals in just a little bit. Here's our forecast highs for the next 5 days. We can expect those temperatures to remain in the low to mid 80s for most of the eastern half of the Arklatex, mid and upper 80s for the western half over in East Texas. But we're expecting more evenly rising temperatures into the mid and upper 80s heading into our Tuesday. And cooler conditions heading into our Wednesday and Thursday, as well as Friday and into Saturday. Cooler than what we're going to be dealing with through our Tuesday there, as you can see. Near or below average temperatures are expected heading through the rest of the work week, especially on Thursday, where most of us, if not all of us, will be dealing with below average temperatures for this time of year. But unfortunately, it will be short-lived as temperatures try to make their way back above the average heading into the upcoming weekend that we have here in the Arklatex. Here's a look at our rain chances dealt through the next 5 days. Only 20% for our Monday and Tuesday, which is today and tomorrow, and 10% for our Wednesday. Little to no rain chances heading into our Thursday and Friday due to another high-pressure system moving in right after that cold front moves in on our Tuesday, or moves through the Arklatex on our Tuesday, finally settling in as we move into our Wednesday evening and into Thursday. Rainfall potential, if it would show up here, is not going to be much through the next 7 days, including what we can see for today. Possibly around a quarter of an inch of rainfall at the most. At the very most, we could see a quarter of an inch of rainfall here, and that looks to be located in either our far eastern portions of the Arklatex and northeastern Louisiana and mainly the eastern half of Arkansas. Looks to see much higher rainfall totals in the Arklatex, or it's in areas around and south of I-20 there, just south of Longview and just south of Marshall there. Maybe receiving an isolated shower or two that could bring some heavy downpours heading into our Tuesday and Wednesday. But looking at the tropics real fast before we go into our 2-minute break here, there is a tropical wave out there in the middle of the Atlantic right now that has a 50% chance of formation into a tropical storm within the next 2 days ahead. This chance has been increasing throughout the weekend, and so has that 7-day chance, as it has a 70% chance of reaching tropical storm status within out there in the Atlantic within the next 7 days, as mentioned before. Now, this system is expected to take a very similar path as compared to the other major hurricanes that we've seen throughout this hurricane season, or this Atlantic hurricane season. Yes, like Aaron. Aaron took a very similar path as compared to this, which would just sideswipe or just stay a couple of miles to the north and east of the Leeward Islands, as well as, I believe, Gabrielle took the same path as what we're going to be seeing here, or this potential system, as well as Umberto also took a very similar path, and they all reached major hurricane status, which is category 3 or above. So it's pretty fair to predict that we could see our next hurricane, our next tropical storm, and potentially our next major hurricane here on of this year's hurricane season. But we'll have to wait and see. It's pretty bold prediction. But I wouldn't be surprised if this became a major hurricane within the next 7 days after it reaches tropical storm status, mainly because of the warm waters that are in place over there by the Leeward Islands and in the eastern or the western Atlantic by the Atlantic coast there. But it's expected to take a very similar track as multiple major hurricanes that we've seen so far this hurricane season. And if it does reach tropical storm status, it will be named Jerry. Now, here's a look at the tropical storms named list as we move through the rest of the season. We've already gone through Andrea, Barry, Chantal, Dexter, Aaron, Fernan, Gabrielle, Umberto, and Imelda, which is nine of the, I believe that's 21 names that are pictured here on the screen. And we could see our 10th one with that potential system. I believe it's called Invest 95L, or I believe, or somewhere close to that. But we are expecting a high chance of tropical storm development with that invest there that is denoted by the red X that I've shown before. 50% chance within the next 2 days, 70% within the next 7 days ahead. Now, looking at the long range outlook for tropical development out there in the Atlantic here, there is a 20 to 40% chance of tropical development out in the Atlantic right now by the Leeward Islands through the time frame of October 8th through the 14th. More than likely, this will be Invest 95L that will be moving through that zone right there and potentially reaching tropical storm status, as it has a very similar, that path lines up with that 20 to 40% area, that pink area that you see there. And there's also a chance for tropical development in the Gulf through this time frame as well, 20 to 40% chance. But that chance increases as we move through the next week afterwards, October 15th through the 21st. There's now a 40 to 60% chance that something could form in the Caribbean Sea as well as the Gulf through this time frame of October 5th through the 21st. So we'll have to watch the tropics very, very closely as we move through the beginning to middle part of this month of October. Here's a look at our 7-day forecast, though. We are expecting the this is the 7-day forecast for the afternoon. Let's talk about what we're going to be seeing for today and the next 6 days afterwards here. As you can see by our 7-day forecast, we are expecting a slim rain chance for today on our Monday as well as Tuesday. Heading into Wednesday, the rain chances diminish here, and heading into the rest of the work week and into the weekend, we should see no rain chances and a lot of sunshine out there across the Arklatex, and we will finally feel a little bit more like fall heading into especially on our Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of this work week. We could see warmer conditions heading into this upcoming weekend here in the Arklatex. But look at those lows, lowering out and decreasing only in the 70s by our Tuesday and Wednesday mornings. But after that cold front moves through, we're expecting lows to reach into the 50s out there by Friday morning, and temperatures look to increase once again heading into our Saturday and Sunday. So that's the basis of what we can expect here in the Arklatex through the next 7 days ahead. We're going to be diving into what we can expect for tonight, and we're going to go into Future Track once again to show you guys if you'll be able to see tonight's full moon. That's all coming up in just around 2 minutes. Make sure to stay tuned for the latest information on tonight's harvest moon. And good morning, everyone, and welcome back. It's just change of shifts, everyone. I was about to say afternoon, evening. I don't know what I was about to say, but good morning, everyone, and welcome back. The time is 10:46 a.m., so it is still the morning out there. But here's a look at what we can expect for tonight with October's full moon and/or the harvest moon. Here, we're going to be diving into some facts about tonight's harvest moon. Here, as you can see, looking at this graphic, we have a couple of facts for you guys. It's acting a little bit slow for this for today, but it reaches peak illumination, which means that the moon or the Earth will be directly in between the Earth and the sun. Hold on, brain fog. The Earth will be directly in between the sun and the moon, which will give us that full moon effect here. But we are expecting peak illumination at 10:47 p.m. Central Time on our Monday. So if you look in the night sky at around 10:47 or around the later part of the hour of 10 o'clock, we should see the full moon or the moon near its peak it's going to be at peak illumination, but it will be appearing around 99.7% full. For some reason, it doesn't ever appear 100% full, but we will be seeing it near its fullest, and it will actually be a supermoon, which means it will be appearing slightly brighter and slightly bigger out there in the sky here. If you've ever noticed a supermoon out there, it looks abnormally big, which means it's a little bit closer to Earth. And obviously, if the moon is slightly closer to Earth, it's going to appear a little bit bigger. So it's definitely going to be a pretty nice spectacle to see. And if you want to see it, mainly it's going to be rising in the east and setting in the west. So if you look down to the south and east, it's mainly going to be showing in the southern sky. So if you look down to the south and east by just after sunset, you will definitely be able to see it. Just if there's not much cloud cover in the area. Now that's going to be the big thing here. Will clouds be in the sky during that time? And for some areas around the Arklatex, it will be some cloud cover in the area. So you'll have to, dodge some clouds to see tonight's full moon out there. But I'm going to dive in a little bit of some more full moon facts for you guys. This is actually going to be full moon that the reason why it's called the harvest moon is because a long time ago it was said that farmers used the moonlight from this moon at around this time of year during late September, early October, because it varies every single year. The full harvest moon varies every single year. They used the moonlight to harvest crops during this time because it was so bright in the sky, and it had a yellowish tint, which made it easier to see, I guess. But yes, another full moon fact that I've written down here, that it occurs closest to the autumnal equinox. So the full moon that is closest to the autumnal equinox will be called the harvest moon, which is perfect for this time of year, mainly because of farmers being able to harvest crops during this time. It will appear as the largest and brightest moon of this year, appearing 10% closer, or actually moving 10% closer to the Earth as compared to usual. And another kicker about this, the planet Saturn will be appearing right next to it here. But if you look very close to around where the full moon would be, if you see a little bit dot right there, right next to it, more than likely that will be the planet Saturn showing in the night sky. But you will have to, once again, dodge a couple of clouds to see exactly where it is. So we're going to be looking at a couple of models here to show if there will be cloud cover in your area. So let's take a look at what we can expect at around 10:30 or just after 10:30 tonight. Here's a look. This is 10:30 a.m. So we're going to go into the night here. That upper level low starts to move out by the evening hours, and around 10:30 or just after 10:30, between 10:30 and 11 o'clock, we should see little to no cloud cover across the entire Arklatex as that upper level low finally moves out of the region. So most of the Arklatex should be able to see it. Now, this doesn't pinpoint exactly if your area will see it, obviously, because the models have a pretty hard time depicting cloud cover or forecasting cloud cover, but it gives a good idea of what we could expect through the overnight hours in terms of cloud cover. So maybe a couple of patchy clouds in areas in East Texas, but not much is really expected to hinder or hinder the sight of tonight's full moon as it appears bigger and brighter in the night sky here. So let's look at another model to see if this is pretty consistent in terms of cloud cover for tonight here. We're going to move out into around 10:30 tonight. As you can see, around 10:30, if it would stop here, boom, 10:30. Most of the Arclitex, not much cloud cover. As you can see, it varies from model to model. They have a pretty hard time depicting cloud cover around the Arclitex, but all in all, not much is expected through the night. Not much cloud cover, that is expected through the night. So you should be able to see it pretty easily in tonight's sky here. So wrapping up this episode with the different full moon names that we've already went through for this year, for each month of 2025 full moon names. We went through January through October. So the October's full moon is normally named the Hunter's Moon if it's not the Harvest Moon for September. For the rest of the full moon names that we have left through the rest of this year are Beaver and the Cold Moon. And starting off the new year, we have the Wolf Moon, which is normally named after the first full moon of the new year. But yeah, that's a look at the 2025 full moon names. This year is the Harvest Moon, which I forgot to change there, but it's normally called the Hunter's Moon during the month of October. But since it's occurring closest to the autumnal equinox, which was on September 22nd, it's called the Harvest Moon for this year. So that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this today's episode. Tomorrow we have a really fun and interactive topic to talk about with you guys. It's actually going to be weather trivia. We're going to be talking about different questions that you may or may not know. We're going to be testing your knowledge here on the KSLA First Alert Weather Breakdown, and with different questions that I may be coming up with. There's going to be multiple choice questions. You won't have to guess anything. But yeah, it's going to be testing your knowledge a little bit about weather knowledge in general, or weather knowledge here around the Arclitex. It's a new segment we're going to be starting here on the podcast. So make sure to tune in for it, just to see if you know a lot about the weather, or if you know some things about the weather. We're going to be talking about all weather trivia. We're going to be talking about a couple questions there tomorrow. So make sure to tune into the episode tomorrow starting at 10:30 a.m. I'm First Alert Meteorologist CJ Cartledge here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in once again. I'll be on at KSLA News 12 at noon and 4. Chief Meteorologist Matt Jones will be on at 5, 6, and 10 p.m. tonight. Make sure to tune into the shows. Always stay weather aware and have a great rest of your day.